What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another HnK video game experience. This is our 17th episode, man. Can you believe it?
17, it doesn't seem like we've been doing it for 17 episodes. That means we're doing it 17 weeks, roughly. Which I know
we skipped several weeks.
I know we had some skips, but, you know. So
it's fun, man. I look forward to doing it every time. I like to chop up old games with you and whatnot. But it just kind of gives me a reason to go back and look into them and keep them relevant, man. Keep them for a whole other generation. Maybe somebody else can get into them. And I kind of do wonder what other people think. You know, this generation that grew up with PlayStations and whatnot, when they go back and play these 8-bits. Certainly it's not the way that I feel when I play Atari, because those games are terrible. I do not like Atari games, man. I mean, they're just not fun. But people collect
them.
it. Yeah, I can't get into them. But anyway, cool. Hollywood Cole and Clear Fire is here, back again. Just us two. Going to talk about a little bit about the Legend of Zelda for the NES, the very first Legend of Zelda. So it ought to be pretty good. But before that, we just wanted to chop it up a little bit. What you got, man? What have you been up to since last week?
Trying not to get sick again. We finally got a little warmer.
Yeah,
so
you got a whole other Arctic front moving in.
Yeah, I know it's going to be coming.
It just dips down right down over Mississippi and dips. It's just all it does, like a little teardrop.
Yeah, it's talking about having another one, so and looking like in the 1st of February having that, which is only about a little more than a week away. So I'll be going back into another polar freeze down here. So
we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. Just me and you on the phone. I think it was yesterday when we talked. Just about some PlayStation games that are coming out. Monster Hunter looks awesome. I think we're going to have to end up getting that one, play that one with Rev. We'll have a lot to talk about. We'll get on there and chop it up, what we think about it. Maybe we'll do a review or something of it, you know?
Yeah, I think a review of that would be good. I've never played any Monster Hunter games, but this one looks awesome. Like, I'm really kind of pumped up about it. I watched some videos on it today at work. Since I finally got my internet working on my PC at work, so I decided to waste time at work and do that. You know, so
well, that'd be perfect because you and Rev have never played it. I've only played one for the Wii U, but it'll be good to get an initial non-tainted point of view. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Another game I'm looking at is it goes to my anime heart there a little bit, is the new Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I don't know if you have any interest in that at all.
Not at all.
That one looked a little fun just because of the nostalgia's sake. You know, I remember back in high school.
It's a fighting game, or
it's a fighting game based around Dragon Ball, and it's a whole series and everything. So it looked pretty neat. The thing that I thought was cool about it was the fact that it had a lot of the scenes from the TV show in the game, and they're really, really close to what the scenes were in the movies. So that's kind of cool to have those cut scenes that look almost identical to it. So if you like a little nostalgia there, then you have that. And it also has stuff from the current series of Dragon Ball Super that's going on right now as well in it. So having all that,
they're still making Dragon Ball Zs and like having new series and everything coming out for those.
Well, they're not making a new Dragon Ball Z, but they've got the next one, which is called Dragon Ball Super. Back in 2000, the mid 2000s or so, they had one called Dragon Ball GT, which was not written by the original director of Dragon Ball. I cannot remember his name, but he decided to do this Dragon Ball Super as a direct continuation from Dragon Ball Z. Basically, it picks up right where Dragon Ball Z left off, and he wanted to basically kind of right the wrongs of what GT did to his series. So he's basically kind of not erasing what happened in GT, because GT happens way after what happens in Dragon Ball Super, but he wants to have that in there to basically say, no, this is what I intended to carry on. And so it's pretty good so far. I've enjoyed it. So I have to watch it dubbed. I can't watch it subbed. It's just, you know, for me to sit there and read it, I'll lose all the action on the screen. I'm too busy reading, and I can't keep up with the action. So
yeah, I can't. I never got into it. I watched like one, and it's the Japanese anime, Jap animation, and it just like couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Japanimation, but I do have my series that I like. Of course, I like the Dragon Ball series, and another one that I like movie side wise is Vampire Hunter D. It's got several movies out around it too, and I love that. Actually, the first time I ever saw that was I don't know if you remember, but the Leadco special movie that would come on Saturdays or Sundays.
No, I don't remember that.
So
Leadco?
Leadco was a company in Mississippi that did vinyl siding.
Oh,
and they sponsored a TV. They sponsored a movie either on Saturdays or Sundays, and so it was really funny. If you go look up the commercials if you can.
I remember Jerry Clower, and I remember that now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! I
So
they sponsored a movie.
Yeah, they sponsored a movie. They would sponsor a movie every either Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember which day. Sometimes it was both days, but It was funny because they had the Leadco Shuffle, and their one of their slogans was "Leadco leads the way," and it's just really funny because all the commercials were just Leadco commercials, and they were cheesy because it was just a Mississippi company. It's really funny. If you can go, you probably can go look it up. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's spelled Leedco. If you go look that up on YouTube, you probably can find some of the old commercials that they did and the Leadco Shuffle and all that. It was just really funny and silly. But they actually showed Vampire Hunter D on this. Now, Vampire Hunter D is a Japanimation that's very graphic, very gory, very bloody. It has nudity in it. It's pretty out there, you know, and it's anime too. So that was what makes it kind of weird for all that. But the basis of the movie is the main character, which is called Vampire Hunter D. He's actually a vampire that's hunting other vampires, and he's kind of looked down upon in the vampire world as being a killer of his own. But he wants to clean up the world and do all that good stuff. So it's a good movie. Go check it out if you've never watched it. It's really interesting if you like any type of anime stuff. It's a really good series. It's a really good couple of movies. So
yeah, I've heard about that one. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I know on MTV at one point, and I'm really just digging deep to remember this. At some point, I don't know if it's between videos or if it's before or after a show, they would do little excerpts. I think they had Aeon Flux on there. Yep. You know what I'm talking about? It's little excerpts.
They actually
that?
They actually had a late night programming for it, and they would carry that in. You have like, let's see, Beavis and Butthead excerpts of rock music in theirs. Aeon Flux was actually a series that MTV put on by itself,
right?
And they did it late at night, and they usually did it in conjunction with like some of the other older music shows that they used to do. So, just depending on what era of MTV you were watching was depending on how you watched it. I remember watching Aeon Flux when it was literally they just had the show and didn't have any of the other music stuff tied in with it. So.
Yeah, this was just little like 5-minute clips, and they were so good. I mean, my sister used to watch them, and it was just they were really cool. And I thought they had a little bit of Vampire Hunter D excerpts on there, but
they did. They do.
But you know, it's just a weird thing. But I like that. That was pretty fun to do. But anyway, what do you got? You got any video game news for us?
We actually have some good video game news.
Awesome.
So first, we're going to start off. We're going to go beat our dead horse again, and we're going to pull up Destiny again. So.
So before we even start Destiny, when we have Edgy on here, by the way, we got to reschedule this thing with Edgy because Coach has a scheduling conflict. But anyway, I want to ask her, shed some light on Destiny. So, we're always bashing it. I want to see does she still play it and everything, or
they are hardly on it anymore. So you're probably going to have some negativity from them on their side too. But
never mind.
But also too, every time I talk to her husband, which his gamer tag is Kuiper I545, I think he was a big BMW fan, so that's why he did that. But the last time I talked to him, he was still talking about how wonderful it is, and I'm like, you're telling me it's wonderful when you have all of these things that show it's not that good, and so he's still kind of high on the game and everything, and I kind of laugh at him about it, and I'm like, but you don't play it very much. You're playing other games now, but you're still high on this game. And he's like, well, yeah, it's such a great game. I was like, is it a great game because of it's a great game, or is it a great game because it's a game that you can play with the friends we've made inside the game? And
game.
And he can never answer that because he knows that if he answers it either way, he's stuck, and I'm gonna bust him for it. So I always give him that option, and he never can answer because he knows if he goes with the friend side, I'm like, well, then there's your purpose.
Well, that's what they said. He said the end game content is all the friends you've made. They started calling it the friend game content.
So he's playing right.
Oh, that's so great.
What they're saying. So, but yeah, so that's just kind of funny. And like I said, I haven't seen them all very much. I'll pop on probably once a week just to not even do anything. The last time I popped on to pledge allegiance to New Monarchy, and then I was going to start doing stuff to earn my rewards for the week, and then I go, nah, I'd just rather go watch TV. You know, it's so bad that I'd rather even watch TV than play the game. But I still log on like once or twice a week just to like look at it and go, no, I'm done. So we'll see. I could
name anything than rather sit there and read or put a puzzle together. Or something.
God, I would rather read the dictionary than play Destiny at this point. That's how it is, and I don't read. I don't like reading. So.
All right, so what are they? So I saw you posted something on the Facebook that the player base has dropped like 70%. Something ridiculous.
So they actually have a graph out showing the drop in the player base. A couple of the gamers that play it have actually analyzed it and shown it out. The only bad thing they weren't able to show was the great increase of when not Trials of Osiris, but when the Osiris DLC dropped. So it's a little off on that, but the end number is correct. So you're looking at overall basis is the player base has dropped 75% since release. The game's only been out since September, and they already have a 75% drop in that too.
So why can't they show the Curse of Osiris?
They just don't have this.
Maybe it never bounced. Maybe it just continued to down.
It bounced. It increased because in their graph they have an increase, but they're not able to.
Oh, I remember seeing that little bitty. Yeah, there was a little one in there.
I'm sorry, I got a little cough there, but they're not able to show the exact amounts, is what they were saying. They're able to estimate it, but not show the exacts. They want to be able to show the exacts because they really want to show how bad this is happening. So with all this happening, the kicker to this is now people are starting to look at the stocks on it. A couple of people are doing some speculative analysis on it, which that's, if you know stock markets and things like that, speculative analysis is just a thing that they always do on all the stocks. Stock trading is basically speculative analysis in a nutshell. So what they're basically doing is these traders on Wall Street, and this is something I posted on our Facebook page as well, they're looking at it and saying that this game is failing. You know, when you have somebody that's not even in touch with the gaming community at all, aka Wall Street, saying that a game is failing and crashing, you know something's up there because they're not even in touch with it, and they're looking at it based on the numbers and the money and the drops in player base and things like that. So they're looking at it from an analytical standpoint, not from a standpoint of
so think of it
people.
This way too, like you're saying. The gaming companies like Rockstar, that like Bungie used to be a gaming company that designed games by gamers. You know, the gamers were the game designers, and now it's turned into a money making chairman around the board, blah blah blah.
Exactly.
And now Wall Street can look at it and go, "You're failing at that too." So you're not only failing at your game with the gamer's perspective, but also on the money perspective. So, wow.
Well, there's also rumors that Activision's about to lose its CEO and get a new CEO. And anytime you have changes like that, you're looking at downticks in your stock price. You're going to look at downticks in a lot of things that affect, not only the money side, but the actual workings of a company. And especially if you change out CEOs, you go through a big upheaval. So if that happens, then, it's going to be an amazing, Bungie itself is going to be in a major problem because they are tied to Activision. And
you said it the best when we were talking the other day again. You've heard me say it, and I'm sure you've said it too on the podcast, but it comes down to, wow, you could have had such a great thing with this new universe you created, and the cost on down the line, the profits on down the line would have way outweighed this, and you called them the opportunity cost. So they didn't even look at the opportunity cost that they're throwing away, or the opportunity profits or margins. They're trying to get the immediate, and it came back and bit them. So exactly. I'm glad it did, because I don't like business done that way.
Well, and more
It's a
talk
terrible
on that.
way to do business.
Well, so more talk on that too. Just I want to expound a little on the opportunity cost for our listeners and what I was trying to describe there. So with Destiny, they've got this 10-year plan. That's been the big talk about Destiny. Period. Is their 10-year plan? How are they going to make a game stretch 10 years? Well, I really honestly thought they were going to go the way of an MMO like World of Warcraft went, to where they could just add the different expansions in and just grow upon the base game, and that would be the way they do it. Well, no, Activision decided to turn it corporate and say you need to do sequels in there as well. So basically, you can't just have a base game and grow off of it. You got to have sequels, which I feel like with World of Warcraft, they're kind of built-in sequels with their pieces that they put in and everything, but that's where the whole corporation greed comes in. So when you're looking at it from that angle, your opportunity costs there are, what does it cost you to cover out that 10 years, and how do you get from point A to point B? What are all the different options there? Those are your opportunity costs. So looking at that, I think where Bungie has shot themselves in the foot is they're not looking at the full range of their opportunity costs. They're looking at it in the short term, not the long term. And with that is they're like, how can I put the money in my pocket now so I can turn around and try to reinvest that into the game? The bad way of doing that, and what makes that so volatile, is you don't plan your game out well enough to go for the long haul. Which you can see that in Destiny 1. It was not a game designed to go for the long haul. I was like, how in the world is this game going to last 10 years without having sequels? Then you see Destiny 2, and right then and there, when they dropped it, it was designed to grab money. It's heavy laden with microtransactions, even though it's not pay to win, but they put everything that you really want, which are customizable things like shaders, sparrows, all those kind of little fun things that made the game fun that you were hunting and grabbing out in Destiny 1, they put it all behind a paywall. So looking at that, their opportunity cost they lost there is the fact that if they would have kept it closer to the same as Destiny 1, in the long run, they actually would have turned a higher profit. That's in my opinion, and I think that if they would have kept it the way that Eververse was originally, where it was like, okay, yeah, you can get it here, but you can also get it in-game too, which I know that you can get Bright Ingrams and all that, and you can gain a lot of the stuff through playing the game, but at a point, they've soft-capped the amount of Bright Ingrams you can get in a week, and so it slows all of that down, so you really can't get as much, and it drives you to pay money in. So in that drive, that's where they've broken their opportunity cost down to a smaller portion than what they could have, which, of course, the other part to opportunity cost is what you're losing. So what they're losing is that benefit of having a game that has the longevity in it. So I think they've shot themselves in the foot when they're not looking at their full option there of going that full 10 years with one game, where Activision is pushing them to do sequels. I think that they blew it on all that wholly in there. So
yeah, we've beat Destiny down.
Yeah.
I mean, we've probably said that to the past few podcasts, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's just other people are sharing our thoughts on that, so that's good.
We're getting this speculation now from Wall Street, which, I mean, they look at the stocks. Bungie, Activision are publicly traded companies, so they're definitely on the stock market and they're being watched. And then you also, too, the other kicker, too, the other bit of news that I posted on our Facebook page that Destiny is in its quote-unquote death throes is the fact that they took their best people that designed the game, let them design it for a year to 18 months, and then pull them off to design the next game. And then they put their live team, which is their team B, not their best players, to start to basically design and develop the game the rest of the way out for its 2-3 year whatever time frame they're going to have for it and all the expansions. And I really think that that's a misstep, because I will say that Luke Smith, the guy that actually did a lot of the writing on the Taken King that actually saved Destiny 1, I think if they would have left him on it as the front man flat out all the way, we'd have a better game and we'd have better development. But until they figure out how they should set that and how they should structure that, we're never going to have a good game from Bungie again. Especially when they're partnered with Activision, it's just the pressures that the two companies are putting on each other just doesn't work out right. With the way that they're designed with the two different teams, it's not working. It's a failing project.
So, talking about a good game, a timeless game, just to switch gears here for a minute, is a game that we played. We all played. You had a Game Boy, didn't you?
I eventually had one.
Okay. Did you buy the one with Tetris?
Of course.
Yeah, Tetris was like the best-selling game of all time.
Yep.
Right. It's a very fun. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but a lot of people like it. And the reason I bring that up is just to segue into this. I did not know this. This happened 2 days ago. Somebody really likes Tetris in Florida. This is straight off of the NME.com website. You can find it anywhere. Just type it in Google. Woman wants to marry her Tetris game. I'm not making this up. Yeah, and I just kind of, I'm not trying to make crazy light of it, but it just you got to hear this because this is crazy. I'll read the story. They've been in a relationship for almost 2 years. A woman in Florida has opened up about her intimate relationship with the video game Tetris. Her name is Fractal Huracan. She's 20 years old, is attracted to inanimate objects, otherwise known as objectophilia. In an interview with this morning's Philip Schofield and Holly Wilby, the math students explained that she had been in a relationship with Tetris for almost 2 years and would like to marry the game. And she says, love's not something you can expect, but honestly, part of it is clearing lines. It satisfies me, and he's really just beautiful. I find him so attractive. There's an interview you can watch. And that she recognizes she can't literally marry an object. She says she would like to have a symbolic wedding ceremony with Tetris. She describes her relationship as very intimate. Typical dates include sitting at the library playing games for hours or, quote, cuddling him. She maintains that she is not jealous of other people who play Tetris as long as no one else is trying to date him romantically. I don't have a problem with other people playing Tetris, she said. Anyway, she says from age 7 she's had an attracted inanimate objects. I just decided that I like monorails and iPods and treadmills, she says. She had a relationship with a calculator named Pierre de Ferment. Asked what prompted her attraction to Pierre. She said, I thought Pierre was really beautiful and loved the buttons on him, and the trackpad is beautiful, and I just loved his function. However, the relationship ended when Pierre broke in 2016.
Cuckoo.
Yeah, that is really weird.
That's crazy.
And you can look it up. Let me just type it in because you got to see this.
I'm a loss for words on that, man.
I know. I was going to see what you wanted to say about it.
Oh my gosh, it's just like.
So it's all over. Well, that one. So this happened earlier, I guess. That story that I just read came out 2 days ago. So they're just catching up. We're probably behind on it. It probably came out a couple of weeks ago.
Wow.
But it shows her with a picture of her game at some point, and it's a Nintendo game, the regular NES game, not the Game Boy version. And the label is just like in terrible shape. It is like destroyed. So, I mean, what do you imagine? I mean, like, she's probably cuddling with that Tetris. But I don't even know what to say about it either. I just thought it was just kind of crazy, and people that want to, just something we don't ever talk about, of course. But
wow.
We always talk about game, but that's video game related, man. I saw it. I said I gotta mention it. I thought you would have more to say about
it. I'm gonna do some more reading on it, and I'll have some more to say later. But yeah, my gosh, and two, some of the words that'll come out of my mouth about that story are probably not PG and not good for this because it's just. That's insane. And guys, if you know me, I'm doing this podcast, and I've been pretty good about not dropping any bombs. But when I talk to Hollywood on the phone, it's usually it can be pretty laden with bombs here and there. So I'll keep it clean for that. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at a person that has some kind of mental instability. And the fact that they're bonding to something like that, you definitely need to go get that checked out. That's bad. I mean, just recently the CDC classified gaming as a certain type of gaming as a disease. I can't remember exactly what all it said. I just glanced over it because I went, I was like crazy people. But when you're looking at something like that's sad. What drove the person to become that way? What drove the person to the game so much that she feels like she has to marry that game? I mean, you're going to be cutting out human interaction with other people and all this other stuff for this game.
It is Tetris too, man.
It's Tetris.
What about Final Fantasy?
Yeah, I know.
Zelda.
You don't even have people in Tetris. You just have blocks. Oh my gosh!
Or even something like WoW, where you can. It's always developing. And,
I mean, I know people that have had a gaming addiction to WoW, to EverQuest, to things like that. They've spent hundreds of dollars on the game that were just absurd amounts of money on those games. And oh my gosh, just hearing somebody with an addiction to Tetris like this is just, it's sad. It's sad too because she's 20, so that it looks down upon that. Just recently, our age group got classified as millennials, and I'm like, I'm far from a millennial. I'm not like that. But then when I look at it, I was like, yeah, I do have some millennial tendencies because I do a lot of social media and everything. But it's wow. I mean, I'm really at a loss for words.
Me
for this.
too. Once I started reading it, I was like, what am I going to even say about it? But it's just I heard about that, and I was like, that is, it's not a publicity stunt. I mean, you can tell she's obviously like troubled or whatever. So, and I'm not really just making fun of that part of it. We're trying to just joke about it, but, definitely needs some help or something with that kind of stuff. I mean, she's recognized that she did. Maybe she's just trying to say, well, whatever. Maybe I just say whatever comes to mind. Maybe she's just one of those people. I don't know. Just doesn't really think about.
Well, maybe this is her outcry for help. Maybe people need to kind of look at this and and analyze this and not sensationalize it so much. Actually, go to her and say, "Hey, what's going on with your life?" Talk to her like a person and see if you can get her to talk back to you and actually have some communication lines open. The people that close themselves off like that, you end up looking at suicide and all kind of other crazy things that can happen when
Tetris doesn't feel that void.
Exactly. What happens when what happens when Tetris says, "I don't want to be with you anymore" to her? I mean, it's just going to rock her whole world. So you got to look at things like that, and we as a society, when a person comes out like that, we need to help that person the best way we can. Be nice to them, be respectful to them, but also to say, "Honey, it's a video game. You can't love a video game like that. There's something not right there." Well,
anyway, all right. Well, we'll switch gears from that one. That's a little dark, but anyway. So
I got a little bit more news too, real quick. So the other piece of news that we have is with Anthem. So I just was reading this just recently, and I'll post it on our Facebook page because I just read it like late, at the end of the day today. And Anthem now is getting pushed back to 2019. Reasoning behind that is because of all of this stuff that is hitting Destiny 2, hitting Battlefront 2. They are going in and they are working this game to death because they want to make sure it comes out right and comes out in a better aspect. So for me, I'm not getting hyped up about it, but it does show that maybe somebody out there in the gaming world that is corporations like Activision, Bungie, EA, BioWare, they're actually listening to us finally. Hopefully that's the case. I hope that's what they're doing, is trying to fix it, because they showed that demo last year in 2017 of it, and it looked like a fairly complete game, or pretty close to being a complete game. If they're having to do a complete rework of it, it seems promising that they're actually trying to correct what was going to be some major issues. And when I say pushed it in 2019, I don't mean like January 2019. I mean they're talking like March, April, May of 2019, maybe even further back than that, just to give it a rework. So keep an eye on that in the news, guys. If you see anything, let us know on that. But that's kind of where that stands, especially considering that this that game was going to be considered, Anthem's going to be considered a Destiny killer, which, I mean, the Division was too, and we saw where that goes. So
if Destiny killed itself, it's not a killer, right? Yeah, I don't hold out much hope for Anthem anymore after EA and now this whole deal.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Like we talked about last time. But all right, well, I actually got a couple of things. This is a cool thing. Do you know the highest? Remember the game that sold, the NES game, the most expensive NES game ever sold on eBay or anywhere?
No, I don't know that one. I honestly don't know it.
It's Stadium Events.
That's right. Yeah, I did remember reading about that.
I know that you've heard it. So Stadium Events is about $30,000. Okay, yeah, it sold for about $30,000.
Yeah, stupid money.
Somebody found it at a Goodwill too, sealed, and they only put it on the shelf for so long. They pulled it off, and it came out as World Track Meet, I believe, is a new one. But anyway, so yeah, a sealed copy of Stadium at $30,000. Well, guess what? There's a new. This happened last year. sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers sells for $30,000.
Wow.
So now we got a $30,000, 144 cents, or $30,100.44 on eBay. This is from Kotaku, and Kotaku confirmed that the buyer has paid up, so it's sold. It's a mint copy, condition sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers. Okay, it's the black box, just solo Super Mario Brothers game. Okay, now. And by the way, it's $26.90. It has a sticker on it that says $26.99, and that would be a markdown price from back then. And somebody did the math on it, and it said, just for people that don't believe that games were $60 back then, $26.99 and $1985 is worth $60.65 today. Mm-hmm. So, and then he says, I swore my mom paid $70 for Final Fantasy 3 on NES at Christmas in '94, and I swear I thought that was $80. So I don't know if his math is 100% correct, but it's something like that. Anyway, the point is they were expensive. So $30,000. Okay, you can go on eBay right now. This is for collectors out there. This is the little devils in the details type of thing. If you're a serious collector, which I'm not a sealed game collector, I don't understand why people buy sealed games. I wouldn't say if somebody offered me a good deal, $50, $100 on a sealed copy of Final Fantasy 3, which I would never be able to find that cheap. I wouldn't buy it. I don't know. Maybe I would at that point, but because I already have a loose copy. But sealed copy. Okay, you can go on eBay right now and find this exact game, sealed copy Super Mario Brothers Black Box, for around anywhere from $250 to $600 for sale. So this one went for $30,000 though. Why did it go for $30,000? Oh, because it is still shrink wrapped, of course, which those other ones are too. Mm-hmm. But it is a very early copy of the game. In its original, quote, hang tab style box. On the back of the box, it has a little sticker hang tab that you could pop out. You'll remember it. I know you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Pop out, hang out, display it at KB Toys or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they started coming out like that in the very early originals. So this is one of like the second gen releases of Super Mario, or second iteration of releases for Super Mario Brothers. So that's why it sold so much. But if you didn't know that, or maybe the people that are selling it on eBay for $600 don't know that, look at that. There's all kind of little tricks like that you can do if you're a collector. But I thought that was really cool. So now there's a brand new, or at least something that rivals stadium events for, they don't know how many are out there. I think like 12 or something like that that are still out there. They have no idea. I don't know how you would know that.
You're just you're just airballing guessing on those.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's just kind of interesting, I thought. It says the same buyer purchased some other sealed games that were auctioned at the same time, including a lot containing a sealed copy of the game Kid Icarus that finished at over $11,000. Wow. Who has that money to just blow on games and just look at it? I mean, but people do it. I mean, that's great if you're that into it. I mean, there's people that do it all the time. That Pat the NES Punk has the Nintendo World Championships gold cart, which are worth the same type of thing, $30,000 loose, because it has to be loose because all they had. By the way, so the contest, not the NES contest, NES mini contest. I'll get to that one in a second. But before we get into Legend of Zelda, I just want to tell you guys this. So two podcasts ago, I mentioned that we kind of got a thing about Kleer never asking questions and all this kind of thing.
Yep.
And I said if you find a if you find a question that he's asked from that episode before, so that was episode 15. So before episode 15, if you can find an episode that he has asked a question, I will send you a game. Kleer will pay for it if it's overseas or whatever, the shipping. And I said, I don't think it exists, but I'm here to tell you, I didn't even tell you this. I listened to an old one today, and I heard a question.
Oh my god!
So it exists. It does exist. I really did not think it exists, but it does exist. At least one. I'm sure it may be one or two, but at least one. I won't give you any other hints than that. You guys gotta go find it. So the first person to find it, just by listening to this podcast, I will send you a game.
Well, you now
your choice, $60 or below.
You now know that it is out there. It is possible, so it is not an impossible task.
Yeah, it's there.
And make sure you send us the about the time frame and what.
I know where it is. So you just tell me the episode. Tell me the episode and the question.
Well, then you're gonna have to tell me offline which one it is, so I can go listen to it because I want to hear this question that I asked. So You got Monster Hunter about to come out. You got Dragon Ball Fighter Z. You've got Metal Gear Survive. You got some good games that are out right now that are on Amazon. Yeah, well, only if you're Xbox player, Xbox or
it
PC.
should come out for PlayStation.
But
yeah, don't make it a game that hadn't come out yet, because I don't want to have to wait around, and maybe I'll pre-order it for you and have it sent to you if it's something like that.
Well, see, that's a good thing
I guess
about
I could do that.
Yeah, with Amazon, that's a good bad thing about Amazon. If you pre-order it for them, you can have it pre-ordered and set to ship to their house when it comes out. And plus, when you're looking at Monster Hunter, it comes out the end of the week, so that's not a huge thing there. Guys. Go hunt it. Go get your free game, man. It's a free game. We'll even put a post on Facebook congratulating you on it and everything. We'll make a big deal about it.
So the other contest, SNES Mini, and man, it is racking up. I just finished the day before we got on here. I know you're recording some, and I'm recording some.
Yep.
What I have right now, I thought I had it open. I don't have it open, but it was last I looked. It was like over 1,700 entries.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're hitting the bigger chunk. I've only got a couple hundred. I don't have a ton of entries.
And we're not even, what are we, about halfway through this thing?
Yeah, roughly halfway through.
But I'm telling you, when I put those names in Excel, I'm going through, and then once we hit the deadline, we're going to go back through and make sure we got everybody and whatnot. Yep. But when that person follows on Podbean, so it doesn't have their email, so it'll have their little screen name, and I can contact them on Podbean, which is what I'll have to do if that hits. But when I put that, you should see that chunk of Excel that just following does. So, I mean, you guys get on there and follow. It's a free follow. It doesn't affect you.
Yeah, we've had a couple followers new, too, so we know you're listening. Guys, follow it. 20 extra votes for you, or 20 extra tickets into this competition. That's a big jump for you right there when you're looking at, if you just do the little bit of liking us on Facebook, following us on Facebook, like the post and comment on the post, and then you add that in, that's 35 hits on just doing that, and it'll take you 2 minutes to do all of that.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it. There's nothing that I've despised more than when I listen to podcasts with people that say, hey, we're going to review whatever game. Of course, we're on the 30-minute mark or so.
Yeah, we've blown a lot
then
of
somebody
time,
that burnt. There's some podcasts that'll go 3 hours, and it's about one game. Let's just say Legend of Zelda, and it'll be like 2-hour mark before they start it. And you're like, dude, are you serious? So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started on it so we don't leave you guys hanging anymore. Yeah, so Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, apologize on the link of the beginning of this. So
no, it's all good, because we do want to get you guys more than just the Legend of Zelda. So that way, if you didn't play it, you can maybe get something out of it as well. So Legend of Zelda. What is so special about this game? This is a classic game. It's timeless. It still holds up today. So let's kind of dive into a little bit of what we remember about it. I didn't do any research on this game. Okay, so mine's all from memory. I've played it recently. I finished it in a special way I'll talk about later on.
Yeah, I remember that too.
That's awesome. I have to post a picture on.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get you a picture up there of your achievement. That's a pretty awesome achievement there. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
So, what do you remember about the game? We'll let you start this one off. I'm always the one.
So my memories are a little thin on this because, one, I didn't play the first Legend of Zelda a lot. My favorite one was A Link to the Past on Super NES.
That's my favorite too.
I loved grabbing chickens and throwing them. That was one of my favorite things. I loved doing that. It was so much fun. And two, I just recently read a way to be able to beat the entire game with only 3 hearts at the very beginning of the game. Like, you can beat the game in like 5 minutes. And I so want to do it. I've got an emulator to do it. It's a glitch. I don't have A Link to the Past cartridge, but I have an emulator, and I'm going to try it, just to see if I can do it. But it just made me laugh. So those are more of my memories there. I have memories on older ones. But on this one of my memories that I do have, and it does entail us actually, is I remember in the Nintendo Power when the Zelda map came in.
Yep.
And I remember us having the Zelda map.
It's hard to find. I bet it's worth a little bit of money now.
And you actually had it taped on your wall at one time, I remember. Because we played Zelda that much, At least you did.
I probably did. I just like the map. I like to walk around with the map.
And Zelda was one of those games that I didn't play much. I actually watched Hollywood play. And that was kind of our thing at one time was, if one person liked a game really more than the other one would kind of watch it, and it was kind of for us like theater for the other person. We'd make comments back and forth and everything, talk about it, and especially if I saw something that he didn't or he saw something that I didn't, we'd always point it out to each other. So, that was one of the first games that I remember us doing that. And two, me growing up, I was sick a lot when I was younger. I had pneumonia like 5 times. I got poison ivy all the time. I was a real kind of sickly kid at the beginning. Holly would always come over while I was sick and play video games for me, or we'd play video games together, because luckily for him, he was not as allergic to poison ivy as I was.
I was allergic to it. I don't remember you being that. So I know you had like a lung problems or whatever, but I don't remember you ever being really sick to where, hey, let's go do something. And you were like, I can't, I'm sick. You know what I'm saying? I never really remember that like that. I just remember going over there and playing video games. You'd come over and play. That was our thing,
Yeah, and so those were the kind of things, and I was sick actually a lot of those times. I tried to hide it because I really felt like it was inhibiting me from even having friends at some times. So, but that's in the past, and so I remember that, and I remember going into dungeons. I remember that music every time you hit a dungeon. It has that specific music, and I remember trying to always get the sword that you would be able to throw or whatever with, and going against, I forget what they're called, but the little red things that you hit, and they make the funny sound every time you hit them. They go like that sucker sound.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can't remember the sound. It made a weird sound whenever you would hit.
They all made kind of the same sound. You either killed them or you just hurt them.
Yeah, because you would hurt them and they would kind of jump back a little bit, bounce back and flicker, and so that's about the gist of my memories. Yeah, later on in life I did play Zelda all the way through and beat it and everything, but those are just some of the little bit of memories, because Zelda was one of the first games I remember playing with Hollywood. It was just one of those first ones that we had. And two, me and Hollywood really didn't game a lot until Super Nintendo came out, and that's when we really hit our stride gaming together. But we did play a little bit of Nintendo beforehand, not much, but a little bit, because we were at the time, living in different areas before, when Nintendo first dropped. So when so Mario came out, came with a Nintendo, whatever, and you played it, and nobody knew what video games were. I mean, some people had an Atari. I mean, they knew what video games were. I'm talking about from a 6-year-old kid didn't know what video games was, and so I'd went over to John Dre's house and was playing Mario all the time. He's the first one to have it or whatever. And I remember walking. I remember this. I remember very, very vividly. I walked in, just coming to see him. He's sitting on the floor. I don't even think he got up to let me in the house. I don't know how I got in. His mom let me in or something. And they went and sat on his couch. And if you remember, John Dre's had this big TV on the floor. Mm-hmm. And that wooden TV. They just come with TV's screen came in like a big wood grain case, like to make it look ornamental or whatever. But big old school console.
Yeah, TV. I don't know how they got that. They made an oak surrounding it and all this. He just put pictures on it or whatever.
Yeah, he had one of the biggest console TVs I've ever seen. It was insane.
And so he was down on his knees, had the map out, staring at the map, looking at the controller, and I just walk in and I'm like, what is he doing? What's this, a new game? Cool, let's play this new game. Whatever new game, I'm interested in seeing it. And his mom was just saying, how you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, good. I was just not doing it. And he goes, Mom, be quiet. You only get one life in this game, and when you die, it's over. And you're like, what kind of game is this? We didn't know what saves were or anything like that. Of course, it had a battery backup. And it was in the gold cart, which made it automatically just stand out, which is just awesome. This, this like Nintendo said, this game is solid gold right here. We're going to put this in a different cart. Let's put it in a gold cart because it's definitely special. And they were right.
It was.
I mean, Miyamoto made it based on his childhood, where he would go exploring caves and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just an adventure. He used to pretend he was on an adventure, running around Japan or wherever. And so he wanted to develop a game like that. And so his skills as making just a fun factor game, just translated over. into an adventure game, and man, he crushed it. And it has not been duplicated until Breath of the Wild, which we're not talking about Breath of the Wild this time, but phenomenal game, probably my new favorite Zelda. I say that, I haven't gone back and played it yet. I've played Link to the Past several times. I actually played Zelda 1 more than any of them. So if you're going solely on how many I've gone back and played, Zelda would be my favorite. But so you start off, it just opens, so it gives you a little bit of history if you leave the game running. It kind of scrolls and gives you a story. And the story's in the manual too. When games used to come with manuals, which is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
I miss those manuals, man.
Yeah, it's just a whole special thing about the game. It's just a bonus. You open it up and get to hear the story, see the drawings, the descriptions of all the items and stuff that you could get later on, and all this kind of cool stuff. The name of the enemies. I mean, it just spelled it. It made the world for you, you know. And so you turn it on. It opens up. You can go left, up, or right. You can go any, you know, but that's it. It don't tell you what to do. There's a little cave there, and you got to go in and get the wooden sword. And in the famous line, "It's dangerous to go alone."
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know you got the old man's in there, and you're like, "What does that mean?" You just walk up to the sword, and you get it. Now you got a sword. And I mean, I think I walked around without the sword at first. I didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do? It's just so weird, you know. And you get the sword, then it kind of starts it off for you. And they did the original game design did have him starting with the sword, but he wanted it to kind of be confusing because he wanted people exactly what you just said. You know, we didn't have internet and all that to go talking about the game. Oh, did you know if you go in the cave, you get the sword? So now the buzz is on the street, in the schoolyard, in the class, you know, the weekends, whatever, about this new game and how you solve it. So the goal is to save Zelda from Ganon, and you go in there and do it. So you can just go in there and start killing beasts. You get, you know, I don't know, I'm going to butcher the names because I don't remember them and I'm not looking it up. Some kind of octo something. It's just the things that shoot the rocks. They have the blue and the red. Red takes 1 hit, blue takes 2 hits.
That's what I was talking about. The sucker thing.
Or something.
Yeah, the sucker things. I didn't know exactly what they were.
I thought you were saying it made a sucker sound or something.
When you hit it, the one that takes 2 hits to kill, the first hit, it makes like a pop sound. It goes boop, boop. I can't remember.
It just goes like boop.
It makes a different kind of sound, and so I just remember that sound. That sound is like just a sound that I remember. So that's what.
So anyway, I mean, so you got to go to, there's 9 levels, so you got to go to level 1. And you have no idea where level 1 is. Nobody knows where it is, which is okay. You're just exploring. You get coins. You go buy a candle. That's like your first thing you want to buy. Or bombs, because if you have bombs, I mean, there's hidden caves everywhere. And you go back and play through it now, and you're just like, man, this is not hard to find all these hidden things. Just imagine if you didn't know where these things were, you know. You blow up a wall and you go in there and there's a guy that says it's a secret to everybody, a moblin. It's a coin. There's a coin in front of him. You walk over and you get anywhere from 10, 30 to 100 rubies. And sometimes you blow up a hidden door and you're like, cool. You go in there and it says pay me for the door and you lose 10 or 20 rubies. I don't remember. But so it's just kind of crazy like that. It's just a full on adventure. But you walk in there, first level, you get the wooden boomerang, goes halfway across the stage. The block. It's this grid-based kind of game. Every time you move, the screen scrolls. You know, it's just one grid. You're moving around that grid. You leave that panel, then it scrolls left or right or wherever to go to a different area. Woods, mountains, graveyard, water, so lakes and whatnot. So you're off in Hyrule saving Zelda, and I was hooked on that game. I remember. We didn't know how to save it. I've mentioned this before, but it really was like something as simple as when you die. So you had to die to save it too. That's what's kind of weird about it. You didn't get to just push start and select and then save and quit or whatever. You had to die. And then it brings you up the option retry. And I never understood this. Retry, continue, or quit. Mm-hmm. There's no really real difference between retry and continue. I don't know why you have that option. Maybe retry starts you all at the beginning. I don't think so. And then save. Or sorry, it's retry, continue, and save. Sorry, not retry, continue, and quit. But you got to select down to save and then push the A button. And I just didn't ever push the A button. I just went down to save. Mm-hmm. And so you had 3 save files on there you could save. But man, that game was... you ever think about the sword that you get at first?
I mean, not really. I mean, I'm just like, oh man, this sword just is terrible. I got to get me a better sword. That's the only time I ever thought about it. But I mean, beyond that, I really never thought much about that first sword.
Yeah, nobody really thinks about it, but it's called the wooden sword. I mean, what does that mean? Who has a wooden blade sword? It's just a big stick with a point.
It's basically practice sword, I mean, I did a lot of medieval.
Yeah, it's exactly.
So like we had practice swords, and they're all wooden, and so it's like.
Yeah, it's like, thanks, old man, give me a practice sword to go kill Ganon with.
Yeah, so it's like. You were definitely not meant to do anything with that other than maybe learn how to swing it, and that's about it,
So you get 6 hearts, and that opens you up for the white sword. And so that's just the next level sword. It's the level 2 sword. That's all it is. All the things that took 2 hits to kill now take 1 hit. And so some stuff takes 3 hits to kill with the wooden sword. They still take 2 with the white sword. So you're just kind of moving up. And then you eventually get to the Master Sword. If you have 12 hearts, it's hidden in the graveyard. You push the gravestone over, climb in, and get the Master Sword. And there's little hints that talks about it. That I don't know what the hint is for the graveyard for the Master Sword, but you'll run into a couple of places in labyrinths or these caves I'm talking about, and the little old man will give you a hint on where stuff is. So one of them, I just learned this. One guy says the 10th enemy holds the bomb. And everybody's like, what does that mean? So we found out what it means. What that means is in Zelda, which is a new thing. I didn't know this, so it's probably going to be new to a lot of you. If you kill 10 enemies so you kill 9 enemies without being hit. On your 10th enemy, if you kill it with a bomb, you get more bombs. So that is really cool. That's a good way to stock up on bombs. I did not know that, but that's how you. That. Yeah, 9 enemies without getting hit on your 10th enemy. If you kill it with a bomb, you get a bomb. That's what that means. So if you're trying to go back and play it, you can get all the unlimited bombs you want. So you can only hold 8 bombs, but then you can start buying to get 12, 16. I think you could even get 20. I'm not sure. For the longest time playing this game, though, you get that. So you get also with your swords, you got defensive stuff, of course, with the big shield that blocks the fireballs from the water hydra. And you also get rings. So you got a blue ring and a red ring. And the blue ring is, you take twice as much damage. And I played this game for so long and never found the red ring until I was like an adult. And I played it all the time. I had no idea where the red ring was. And there's no way to... And nobody knew where it was. I only know one guy that got it. And I think it was Jeff, of all people.
Wow, that's a curveball.
Yeah, because he was over at Nicholas's house, and he had it, and I was like, he said, "Here's my, let's play Zelda." Okay, he plugged it in, and I saw this little saved guy had the red ring. I'm like, what? Where did he get it? He's like, I don't know. Had no idea. He must have just found it. But the reason is it's hidden in a space. Ganon, it's in level 9, Ganon's castle, and it's a wall you have to blow up. That's a blank. It's not it doesn't look like it's part of the map. You have to go off the map to get the red ring. That's why. And I think I stumbled upon it, and just kind of walking through the stairwells and stuff. And you're like, man, this has got to be the red ring. This is crazy. And so, you get the red ring and silver arrows in Ganon's castle. So, what do you know? Are you reading something about it? Or?
Well, I was digging through some stuff, looking at the history of it and everything, and so it was really neat. Like, I didn't realize that Legend of Zelda, with its history of all the games, has a backstory kind of like Metal Gear does. Like with Metal Gear, that's not the first game in the timeline, in the chronological order.
Okay.
So Zelda's like that too, and I was like, wow, this is kind of neat.
That's a good study to talk about.
So the chronology of all of it is actually different than when it came out in the actual time, years. So that's kind of neat. I'm gonna look up the actual chronology of it and either post it or talk about it.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to talk about it.
So I'm gonna post it because it's a lot. It's really extensive and it's really neat. But the one thing that I did want to bring up is I just learned this was who Zelda was actually named after. She was actually inspired. Her name was inspired by F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife, Zelda. Miyamoto thought that name sounded pleasant and significant, so paying tribute, he chose to name the princess after her and title it The Legend of Zelda. So it is in honor of F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife, Zelda. And then the other thing too is, which I mean, I kind of guessed this because looking at Link, he kind of looks like this. But Link and the fairy were inspired by Peter Pan and Tinker Bell. You know, that's where the inspiration for that came from. And then the Master Sword, which, if you know medieval times, you know Arthurian legend and things like that, you know that the Master Sword and Excalibur are almost direct similarities, because you gotta pull the Master Sword out of a rock. Excalibur came out of a rock, but he chose that because it's the similarities of laying the lay with the swords being kept in the stone until a chosen one hero takes it out and saves the land. So basically, he based it around that whole same kind of principle of this sword only chooses one person. And I thought that was a neat thing as well, because I'm a big person into medieval times, medieval history, and things like that. So, you know, those are a few little things that, you know, the sword thing, I kind of guessed it. The Peter Pan and Tinker Bell relation, I kind of guessed it. But the Zelda thing was really neat, especially because right now there's a TV series that my wife is watching. I forgot it was. It's something all about Zelda F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife before they meet, and then right when they meet.
Who is F. Scott Fitzgerald?
F. Scott Fitzgerald is a guy that's written quite several books. I forget which books he's written, but he's extremely well known author. Let me tell you which one his big ones were. You're looking
Sound like
at
a president or something, vice president or something. Some kind of political figure.
Because I'm not a reader, so I don't remember. But he was a big writer. He did a lot of stuff like that. Let's see.
Something back in the American Revolution or something.
He did the 20s and the 30s are when he wrote. And so he went in the military. God, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on it. Let's see. I'll do stuff about it later. But
we don't know who he is yet. He's our author.
Novels, The Great Gatsby.
The
Beautiful
okay.
and the Damned, Tender as the Night, The Last Tycoon, novellas, Diamond as a Big Ritz, Mayday, Rich Boy. These were all written in the 20s, and so
Great Gatsby. That's the one that.
That's what it was The Great Gatsby, and I just totally blanked on it. So
Zelda's written named after the Great Gatsby's writer's wife.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Something you were saying. About the Master Sword. This is funny. I just thought about this while you were talking about that. I don't know when the Master Sword was introduced. I think it was introduced. I know it was introduced in A Link to the Past. I think that was the first one. I don't think it was introduced in Zelda 2. I only played Adventures of Link a few times when I was a kid, and I went back and finished it as an adult because that's one of them I never finished. So I have played it through within the past 10 years. I mean, I don't know how long ago, at least 5 years ago. So it's actually called the Magical Sword in the Legend of Zelda NES. And I always called it the Master Sword all these years, and I went back and played it, and I saw it said Magical Sword. I was like, oh yeah, it's the Magical Sword, not the Master Sword in Zelda 1. But in the Link to the Past, he does have to pull that sword out of the stone like that. That's what it kind of came down to from the Lost Woods. But anyway, the chronology, it's a hard word to say. Chronological timeline.
It's a tough one to say.
For Zelda, I'm not even looking at it, but chronological timeline for Zelda is just ridiculous. I mean, it's obvious that this is an afterthought. He had no intentions of making a whole sequel thing like that. The only direct sequel is Legend of Zelda 2.
Yeah, and before you go too far in that, Link, you are correct. A Link to the Past was the first time the Master Sword appeared.
Okay, and so Link to the Past was the prequel to the Legend of Zelda 1, which is cool. So we got all three, no problems. The first three, there's no problems, and then you got Link's Awakening on Game Boy, phenomenal game. Where does that come into play? Because it's always some of them will say a hero. Before you killed Ganon and whatever. You're like, what? Who am I? If I'm not Link, I did that. Link did that, and I'm Link in this one. How is there a hero before me? So it gets ridiculous. You got Ocarina of Time that came out, so it starts to get to where the Ocarina of Time is where it splits, to where it gets crazy. And I don't know all of it. I mean, they came out with Hyrule Historia, which is a book.
And it has the full
timeline and explains it. And actually, the Wii that I bought is the Wind Waker version. So I got Wind Waker download on there, and Hyrule Historia on there. So you could get it that way if you find a Wii U with a Link or Wind Waker, the Wind Waker version. So it's something along the line of Kid Link and Adult Link. So one timeline, Zelda sends Link, makes Adult Link a kid again and goes back and lets him relive his childhood. Another timeline, this is all the canon of Zelda too, so it's like breaks off into different timelines. Another timeline is the Adult Link runs off and continues questing around or whatever. And then another timeline is that Ganon actually won against Link.
Yeah. And so those timelines are actually, so you've got the main timeline, which is the Legend of Zelda series, and then you have the timeline that's the Decline of Hyrule, then you have the Twilight Realm and A New World. So there's your 3 timelines the way they fit from what I'm reading here on the chronology.
Yeah, it just gets really crazy. So a lot of people are just like, just made it, but they kept pressuring Nintendo to put out an official timeline, and somebody came up with that, and that's the best you can do with that. Mm-hmm. So at least people got their timeline, and maybe they're making new games based on this timeline. I don't know where Breath of the Wild fits into that, all of that.
It's not even on here.
Yeah, so I don't think they have to come up with a new story, a whole new timeline for that one. But yeah, just weird things about the game. I mean, a wooden sword, you see, like it's a practice sword, the white sword, and the magical sword. You also get other items, the boomerang, the wand that shoots. That's what everybody wanted, the wand. You get that in level 6. It shoots the wands out like the little ghosts that run around. And then if you get a book, it will, whenever the wand hits the end of the stage, it turns into like a candle. The fire lights up and it'll light up any dark room. Little things I remember is climbing up the waterfall, the side of the ladder beside the waterfall where you get the white sword. You got to do it 5 times, I believe, to get to level 5. So you're just climbing up and it's the same screen, scrolling again, scrolling again, scrolling again. You think you're doing it wrong. If you exit left or right at any time, or left, it'll take you back out to the waterfall. Any other one will just repeat. But then you'll get that secret, and you go in there to level 5, and then and then you had to go up. I still remember this. I can't remember. The Lost Woods, you go up, left, down, left. So it's northwest, southwest is how you get out of the Lost Woods, and that's how you get to the Death Mountain area. One of the ways you can get there. That's where you'll find the graveyard with the magical sword in level 6, where you get that wand. They got ladders, they got rafts, they got the bombs, of course, the bow and arrow, which is cool. The arrow is actually counted as coins. So the number of coins you had, the number of arrows you were shooting. They changed that in Link to the Past to give you just a set amount of arrows and not just the coins. I don't know if they did that. They probably just did that because of system limitations, I'm sure. Let's see, what else did you have? The candle, so it's blue and a red. Blue you could only use once per tile. You had to leave and come back, or go to the next tile. And red you could do it as much as you wanted. That was good. That was good to get that. The wand, and I'm trying to think. Oh, and yeah, there's that enemy bait. That is the weirdest and dumbest thing, which I'll talk about in a second. The enemy bait. You could buy it. So you have it in your inventory. You lay it down as many times as you want. Supposedly, it makes enemies come to it and stand over it. But I mean, it's not really a problem. I don't have a problem having enemies come to me or
find enemies
to kill them. Yeah, I mean, you just put it in that tile and they just walk over there to it. So I mean, sometimes you don't know if it's attracting them or it's just kind of by default they just happen to walk over it, and stand by it. And what was by the enemy bait? The whistle was down in the bottom right, I think. There was something beside the enemy bait. Oh, what was it? Well, let me just do it in order. The first level, you got boomerang and the wooden boomerang and the bow the bow. You had to buy the arrows. Second level, you get the magical boomerang. Third level, you get the ladder. Third level, you get the raft. In the 4th level, you get the ladder. 5th level, you get the whistle. 6th level, you get the wand. 7th level, you get... this must be the one I'm missing. What do you get in the 7th level? 8th level, the 8th level, you get the magical key and the book. But what do you get in level 7?
I'm trying to find a screenshot of the inventory.
I can't believe I forgot. Man, this is going to drive me up the wall now.
No, we're going to find it.
No, for level 7 you get the red candle. Yeah, level 7 you get the red candle. But there's something I'm missing in the inventory.
I'm getting that for you. Hang on. All right, here we go. Screenshot of the inventory. Let me make sure this.
Oh, it's just a potion. Yeah, it's just a potion.
Yep.
The blue potion and the red potion.
Yep.
You just buy that. That's why I couldn't come up with it. Power bracelet's another thing you get in your inventory. It's at the top.
That's not the.
Yeah, the power bracelet you can pick up or move rocks. You don't pick up anything in this one. So yeah, that's why I couldn't remember it. The red candle's in 7, but anyway, just a bunch of cool little things you can get that help you on your journey. It's always that's what made it so much fun. The magical shield, you can get it for 90 coins or 160 depending on where you went. You know, you could buy hearts. You could gamble on there. They try to play. I don't remember what the guy said, but you know, he'd have a little pick the coins. It's like if you walk over a coin, you might lose 10, lose 20, or win 50 or something like that. Coins. There's 3 coins to pick from. Stuff like that. A lot of fun, man, with this game. Just adventurous. Oh, the second quest. So once you complete Zelda. Oh, so yeah, I meant to say this before we go into that. The enemy bait. You walk into level 7, and there's a little guy there that'll say, grumble, grumble. That's all he says, grumble,
That's right,
grumble.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's a puzzle. So like, grumble, grumble, what is that? Oh, the enemy bait. I can feed him. You put it down, and then you put down the enemy bait, and then it opens the doors for you, and you walk through. You know, it's out of your inventory too, and you got to go buy it again if you want it. And I just go buy it because I wanted to have a full inventory instead of just having a gap right there. But you got to think about these little puzzles and stuff that are in this game.
And to say, because I know you were trying to remember if it was 16 or 20 bombs you could hold. Capacity was up to 16.
Okay, yeah, 16 then. I thought I got up to 20, but I guess it's just 16 when I was trying to do the special thing. So I'll post a picture of it, but I actually went back and I saw that people did this, have finished Zelda without getting the sword. You got to get the sword to kill Ganon, but got all the way to Ganon without getting the sword, and I actually did that. It was so much fun, and it was not as hard as you think. You got to kill enemies with bombs and the candle. But once you get enough bombs, there's several times you go into a labyrinth and you're out of bombs, and you got to go run around until you get enough money to buy bombs
Well, now you know the trick.
Well, yeah, you just have to do it. You even if you know how to do it, it just takes practice to kill those dark nuts with bombs. Mm-hmm. Those are hard. That's the hardest part. Once you get the red candle, or once you get the wand, you're pretty much home free at that point. The wand just hits everything, just like the white sword. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I want to post a picture of it. I might even use it as the picture of our.
That'd be good. Yeah, use it our profile picture for the week. Yeah,
so I may do that. But just the interesting thing about it, the second quest. So once you kill Ganon, you hit. He just disappears and he's surrounding you. You see little fireballs come out. You're sitting there swinging your sword, and then you'll finally hit him. He turns blue, and you got to shoot him with the silver arrow. And you keep doing that, and he'll eventually stop, and you shoot him, and he kills him. You pick up the Triforce, go in there and save Zelda. And after you walk through the place where Zelda is, there's little fire around there, and you got to hit it with your sword. You can't just walk into it. I wonder if anybody was almost dead when they killed Ganon and walked into that fire by accident.
I'm willing to bet there's probably at least 1 or 2 people out there that done that.
Yeah. So you get Zelda and the game over, you win. But then you get to start a second quest. And if you look at the save file, Link is holding the magical sword. That's how you know this is a second quest. Mm-hmm. And I learned this too. You know where the second quest came from?
No, I did not.
The second quest, I just thought it was just a cool hidden gem of the game.
Yeah.
But it's actually they had more space left over. They thought the game was going to take up a lot more space than it did. And so they had some left over, so they just made a second quest with it. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool,
they didn't go, well, I don't want to waste money, and, we could be working on another game. They said, let's just give these people,
give them a little,
their money's worth.
Exactly. That's really cool. It makes me think more highly of the makers of Zelda.
Nintendo, yeah. Nintendo's always got the high marks for me.
They really do. I hate that they had the GameCube era, because that was kind of their downturn.
No, Wii U is...
Well, the Wii U was too, but the GameCube hurt them greatly, because I remember with all my buddies at college, when you left Jones, everybody at Jones, we started playing Super Smash Brothers on N64. I got a GameCube and brought over Super Smash Brothers on GameCube, which both of them have 4 controller ports, and I had 4 controllers for each one. We go back to Super Smash Brothers on N64 and never really played GameCube much, and it just, but to me, I think GameCube was the one that hurt them the most because that's what started bringing them down some. But I mean, definitely, I think they're making a return with the Switch. They definitely got to jump back into the Switch. So
probably N64 would probably be the biggest one that started to crush them because of the cartridge. We talked about that.
Yeah.
We need to do it a little bit. We need to do a talk about that. We need to do one on just the N64.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a pretty good one. I got a lot to say about it.
Oh, yeah. We definitely have a lot to say, especially considering that was one that me and you played together a lot.
Yeah. And so, anyway, that's kind of all it is about Zelda. It's really quick. You can go back and, if you play the game, you can play it on emulators or whatever. It doesn't take long. If you know what you're doing, you can finish the game in one sitting. It's not that long. But it's definitely a classic that's been around forever. And since we're talking about the second quest, just a little code that everybody remembers. Maybe you don't remember this. If you just type Zelda in for your name, you automatically start on the second quest. That was one of those things that Nintendo Power put out to show you how to do it. And the second quest is the same layout as far as the world goes, but there are the dungeons and items are in different places, hidden doors and stuff are in different places. So, so let's just go ahead and cut it off, man. We're about an hour and 10 minutes in, and I really don't have a whole lot more to say about Zelda other than just stuff that I remembered about it. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of facts and stuff about it. I kind of just wanted to share, what we kind of experienced. Yes, that's what it's called, the HnK video game experience. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, check us out, guys, on Twitter. Let us know. We did get a request for a game. We've gotten it a couple times, and Jaws is what it is. I've gotten that.
Oh, my gosh.
So, I don't know how we can fill in. Maybe,
Well,
I could talk about that game in 10 minutes.
Maybe we could put Jaws and like Excite Bike and a couple of games like that together because those are all really short games. Because I have some fond memories of Excite Bike from when I was living in Brandon before I moved to Forest. So
you've been wanting to do Excite Bike, so we'll just have to combine
it. Maybe we do that. Maybe find one more other game and have those 3 games together because it's going to take us 5 minutes on most of those games anyway. So I think that would be fun to have just like a little mini thing of a couple games that are just kind of a fun relic of our past.
Yeah, Jaws I do got some fun memories of. Excite Bike, not so much. I mean, I remember it, but I mean, it's really much to it. That's a tough one to talk about. I
loved Excite Bike. I played it like crazy. So,
all right, well, let us know what you guys want to hear, and follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook if you haven't. Remember the contest. Like us, share, comment, like our page. Follow us on Podbean to get all the latest. I mean, the Podbean app is fast. If I drop a podcast, I can go look at as soon as I publish, I look at my phone and I got you got new ones published, for me to look at.
My Podbean app tells me it before everything else starts going off on Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere else. Like even before Google Play and all that has it. Then my Podbean app on my phone's blowing up saying, "You got a new podcast." I'm like, "Oh, Hollywood got it finished." Oh, all right.
Yeah, I don't even text anymore. To say you'll see it on Podbean.
It just all blows up and I see it.
All right then. Well. We're going to try to get rescheduled Edgy for some EverQuest if you guys are into that. And I'm sure we'll talk about some other games, but it'll be good. It'll be a 4-man podcast. We haven't done that one yet.
That's going to be a little combobulated there. So
try to mediate.
Yeah, we'll have to try to do that. And the good thing about that is I was never a big EverQuest player. Like I said, I did do beta testing for EverQuest Frontiers that was on the PlayStation 2, so I probably can play mediator a little bit in that and try to guide that a little bit. So let them talk it and chop it up because honestly, I really think we do need to cover it. It is a game that definitely has impacted the gaming world. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody sticking in there, and you'll hear from us next week.
Thanks, guys, and keep on listening.
Later.